All right, so if I remember correctly, now we are logging in. Having something show up, did we just change the way we did it a little bit last time? Is that what we did? Let me just run this real quick. If I remember correctly, the last thing we need to do is have roles working. I should just go over here first. So right now we have an authenticated user and then we have a role object, and we created the role object last time but haven't actually put anything in here. For our role object, we're going to keep track of a user ID, a role name, and a role description. This is going to allow us to have roles associated with the user that's currently logged in. Okay, so let's just go ahead and pre-populate this a little bit. So we'll go ahead and make a role user for our AwesomeFat account, or some roles for the AwesomeFat account. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to steal the object ID from the AwesomeFat account. That's going to uniquely identify role objects for belonging to this particular user. So we're going to go ahead and add a row to role object. The user ID is going to be the user ID or the object ID associated with the AwesomeFat account. Role name, let's say, is developer. Role description is a developer. All right, and let's add one more. User ID again will be the AwesomeFat one. Role name is designer, a designer. Okay, so the AwesomeFat account now should have two of these things associated with it. Now let's go over to our code here. We'll go into manage roles, this guy here. And in ViewDidLoad, what are we doing? We are creating our query. We're saying, give me all of my role objects where the user ID is equal to the user ID of the dude who's currently authenticated. We created an authenticated user object, and we're passing around that here's our authenticated user. Has a UID, a name, and a username. And we're passing these pieces of information around. So we're going to ask for that user object's UID. So if this is AwesomeFat logged in, that should be AwesomeFat's user ID, which is actually his object ID from the parse data store. So we're going to say, give me all the role objects whose user IDs match the particular logged in user's user ID. So in this case, if AwesomeFat's the one logged in, it's going to give me all of the rows in here where the user ID matches AwesomeFat's user ID. So it should give us two of them. Okay. Then we'll go through, and for each of those roles inside of our array that's returned by asking the query to give us its objects, we're going to fill up the roles with a role object, passing it that PF object. So we taught our roles how to be built using a PF object right here. How do you build a role with a PF object? Init with PF object. We're going to return our other constructor, init with name, passing it the PF value for key and value for description. Make sense? All right, so this loop right here goes through and fills up our the roles mutable array with role objects created as a result of querying parse for all the role objects associated with the logged in user ID. And our self or own index path should already know how to extract the name and description from our role objects. So if we go ahead and run this and we log in with AwesomeFat, we should get 2 roles. Okay, so we're logged in. We'll click on Manage Roles. Ruh-roh. You think you're better than me? All right, hold on. Hold on. Let's print out this user's user ID and just make sure everything seems to be matching up. Okay, that's the user ID. Which is correct. And what's interesting is it did indeed find 2 of them. Name and a description. Ah, hold on. We call these role name, role description. I bet you the problem is right. Yeah. Role name. Role. Was it the full word description? Yep. Now it should work. All right, so there's the 2 roles for this particular user. Now, if I log in again, what was Simon's password? Same, okay. So let's run this again. And let's log in as Simon. Click Manage Roles. Now we should get nothing now because Simon has no roles associated with him. If I come in here and let's go and add a role for Simon. So we'll get Simon's object ID. Whoop, relax, add row. Simon had dancers, right? All right, we'll just give him 1. So that's done. We really need to put a back button on this page, don't we? Let's go do that real quick. Well, I didn't write one. That's right. So I'm gonna put a back button in here real quick. And then we'll create a IB action, back button pressed. And what should happen when I press the back button? This would be something that potentially could be on a final exam. Well, yeah, what should we do? Okay, pop it from the navigation controller. Self.navigation controller, pop view controller animated, yes. And finally, we need to hook those up. I'm going to hook that up. Okay. I'll run this. We'll log in as Simon again. Go to manage roles. Here's Simon's dancer. We'll hit back. Do I have a logout? Oh. All right. So in any case, does this make sense? Now we also need to update the add for when we add a new role. So here's the new role save button pressed. If they screw up, we're going to yell at them. That doesn't change. We still yell at them when they screw up. But if we need to write a new one, we're no longer writing a device ID. Now we're writing a user ID. We're also writing a role underscore name and a role underscore description. Now the UID, let's just make sure I named it UID in here. I did. The UID is going to be the user get UID. So when we create a new role, we're going to get the role, we're going to build the role that we're going to save, add it to our roles mutable array, then we're going to create a brand new PF object of type role object, set that PF object's UID key equal to whatever the currently authenticated user's UID is. We're also going to set its role name equal to whatever the current role name is, and the description, role description, equal to whatever the current description is. And then we'll save it, which should add it to the database. That makes sense? So we only had to update it a little bit to deal with user IDs rather than device IDs. So go ahead and log in as Simon, who currently only has one. And we'll go ahead and add a new person. Let's see, Simon also should have hobbits. Short folk. Okay, so it showed up there, but there isn't any proof yet because this is just, we added it directly to our roles NS mutable array. So I'm going to go ahead and hit back, then click manage roles again, which should actually hit our database. And we should have our proof here in our database. If I refresh this, we should have one new row in there, and we do. Here's our hobbit. Makes sense? And notice it has Simon's user ID in there. Oh man, it's so full. Don't want to lose any of this. At first it looked funny, then it got creepy, and then he just ate the lid. And I'm not sure what that was. Got that pumpkin creamer again. What's up?
I knew a guy who had a styrofoam cup once.
Who ate one?
Yeah. New, 7th grade. Yeah. And he told me he was going to eat my soul.
Told you he was going to eat your soul?
As he was eating the styrofoam cup. Haunts me.
Sometimes I wake up screaming. Man, that's pretty messed up. I had a messed up thing happen in the lunchroom when I was in 7th grade. I'm friends with him on Facebook. His name was Jesse Williams. He decided to pierce his ear with a fork. No, pierce his cheek with a fork.
What?
In the lunchroom, he stabbed a fork through his cheek.
Metal or plastic?
I think metal. What a wimp.
How much did you pay?
I wasn't even sitting at the table with them. It caused somewhat of a commotion. It just reminded me of that. I should actually Facebook. I haven't talked to him in years. We just happen to be friends on Facebook from going to the same high school and stuff. So I should message him and say, "Remember that time you shoved a fork through your cheek?" I think he did it. I mean, I think he did it like on a bet or something. And he put all the tines through from the inside. You know, when it. That's pretty legit. That would have been better if he would have pulled the fork through.
Oh, no longer piercing, but that would be a
hole.
Can you do it again, please?
And then he takes. Do they actually still do the half pint milks that are made of like paper?
Yeah.
Those still exist. I just always assumed that probably was leaching poison into the milk. But no, they still do that. Well, in any case, it would have been awesome if he would have taken his half pint milk and kind of after he created the piercing, just shoved it in there like one of the cool piercings these days. I need to create a piercing for my empty milk container.
That's how he eats.
So I thought that was a pretty good story, but the guy eating the styrofoam cup, then telling you he was going to eat your soul, that was... In high school, we had a guy arrested because he was storing blood in his locker.
That's also good.
He was convinced he told everybody he was a vampire, and he was...
Yeah, whose blood was it?
He was collecting blood from animals, like squirrels and stuff.
Yeah, that might be something sort of cool. Yeah.
I have no idea whatever happened to him. He was removed from the school one day, and I don't know if we ever heard from him again. Yeah, who knows? I don't even remember his name. I don't know if I really knew him. Again, it caused somewhat of a commotion. Remember, it was on the news. My parents had sat my brother and I down and asked, like, "Were you aware of the young man storing animal blood in his locker?" It's like, "Mom, that was me."
I let him out some space.
I was an accomplice. I was renting him locker space. Yeah, we had a liquid coolant unit in there. He's got to keep that stuff fresh. He lives on the stuff. Okay, so in any case, now we have our Puppet PM supporting multiple logins. Each login now has the roles associated with that login. We can add roles based on who the login is. What would it mean to log out? Let's add a couple more back buttons here. Just kind of. So if we're in manage roles, we can hit back. We can hit back again. We're at this main screen. We probably want to give ourselves a logout button up here, right? What does it mean to log out of our application? Like, what should happen as a result of logging out? So I'll come in here and start putting our Logout button in. And we'll go ahead and put in a IB action associated with that. Okay. And what should we do when we log out? When we log out of an application, what's the next thing that should happen? We should give somebody the opportunity to log in, right? Okay, how do we go back to the login page? Pop. Self.navigation controller. Pop view controller animated. Yes. All right. So now this should be kind of interesting, what we're about to see. So I'll go to the Zib. Click on File Owner. Hook up the Logout button pressed right there. No, it won't. So we're going to go ahead and log in as AwesomePat. Blah. Log in. We're on this page. Go and do whatever we're going to do. Manage our roles. So we're seeing my roles now, not Simon's roles. I'll go ahead and add a new role in here. What else does... Oh, we have archers. My team has archers. An archer. Awesome. Come back, make sure it's there. It is. Hit back one more time. Let's go and click Logout. And somebody could log right back in as AwesomePat. All right. So we are almost. Shut up. By the way, Jake, where were you yesterday? Just probably sleeping?
I blacked out for 5 hours.
It may have been coleslaw. We finished on a high note too in 470. We actually got we got method calls working. All right, so I came back here and it already has the username and password typed in. Probably not what we want, right? So how would we fix that? What?
When you push the login button, set the username text field and password text field to the.
Oh, okay, when you push it in the first place. Okay, this will be our option 1. Option 1 will do this. And then I'm going to say you're not allowed to do it this way. So think about it for right now. So I'm going to go into login vc.m. After we're authenticated, when we push the view controller, before we do that, he wants to set our username text field dot text. Sorry. Username text field dot text equal to the empty string and password text field dot text equal to the empty string. Now, the reason we're not going to allow us to do this is because it's actually a visual eyesore. And we're going to see why here in a second. So I'll type in my username and password. You have to watch carefully. As soon as I hit the login button, what happens? I saw the username and password disappear. No, users should not see that kind of crap. But we will find that if we hit lockout, we're okay. Although, the wrong guy is the first responder. So we can fix that real quick.
What the hell? What the hell is this?
Username text field, become first responder. I gotta run that again. Okay, at least now the right guy is, reminds me, what's is it the newest Transformers movie, the Dark of the Moon? John Malkovich is the guy's boss at the company.
Oh, yeah.
When they have the red floor and the yellow floor.
Yeah.
Like, what is there a red cup doing on the yellow floor?
You're so good.
It is a visceral, and therefore, what?
You're so good at playing crazy.
I know. Did you ever see the movie Being John Malkovich?
I haven't. I've wanted to see it.
That you might not have been born. It was close.
Maybe two.
Maybe
That's like the.
it was a while ago,
I don't even read. It's just like.
but it was an interesting movie. The premise was there was some office.
99.
Huh?
99.
Was it really?
1999.
Man, you're 7.
14?
Huh? You weren't 14. You were 7.
No.
What kind of base 2 math are you? Oh, what kind of power of 2 math are you doing? Who was-
Born in 1999. 14. Almost 15. 14.
What?
It's 2015.
You mean if you were born the same year that movie came out, you would be 15?
Yes.
Okay.
14 almost.
I got you. The premise of the movie is there's some office building, and through this little cubby hole in the office building, you would go into this hole and you would become John Malkovich. You know, who was a famous actor. He played himself in the movie, but you were literally in his head, like you were driving. And then they had cutscenes where when you left, Malkovich would have blackout periods. Like, I don't remember what happened. Maybe that's what went down with Jake yesterday. I was coleslawing. I slipped on the ice.
You can't coleslaw on the ice. You're not near enough Christian.
I dropped my bow.
A bouncy castle.
Coleslaw on a bouncy castle. Okay, so we've decided that it's unacceptable for when we hit the login button that the username and password disappear a fraction of a second before this screen is pushed. It was gone. Okay, so we cannot do that. We need another way of making sure. So we're gonna get rid of that. Get rid of that crap. So at least now it won't disappear on us. Okay, but we are back to our old problem of I hit log out and everything's still there. So how do we fix it? Go ahead. Okay. Man, he's walking right into my path. Path of destruction. Where's the log out button? What view controller is this? This is login VC, right? Log out button is where? Main VC. So if you want me to put everything that I just did in here inside a logout button, I don't have access to that stuff. I don't have access to username text field, password text field. Go ahead.
Is there like a view to disappear?
View to disappear. I don't think so.
I think they give it to you. It's one of those that work.
Yeah, let's so I'm going to come up here. I'm going to go to help, documentation, API reference. And we're going to say UI view controller. Let's just start with that. Responding to view events. View will appear, view did appear, view will disappear. All right.
Did disappear?
Oh, was there one for that?
Yeah, it's one below it.
Yeah, will disappear. We'll still see it.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
I can see also.
See also.
Oh, blue text. I'm
Down,
down.
down.
Warmer.
Down.
Warmer, cold,
Go
warm,
ahead.
cold. Hot. Bingo.
Nailed it. All right, so we'll implement this view did disappear. Method. And we're going to set username text field dot text is equal to the empty string. Password text field dot text is equal to the empty string. And username text field becomes first responder. And this should automatically get called as soon as the view did disappear. It's part of those part of the entry points we have into the life cycle of a view controller. So run this again. It definitely still looked like it was there. Now when we hit logout, we're back. That make sense? Okay. How else can we pull off the same thing? Instead of using view did disappear,
You did load.
view did load would happen only once.
Oh, because in the stack.
Yeah, view did load only happens once.
You will appear.
We could do view will appear. We could also do view did appear and have it empty out, although we'd see it empty out. You know, that would be like a tease. It's like, look, we almost gave you the password, but gone. All right, so that's an example of how we can use those different entry points into the life cycle of a view controller to handle things occurring at different times. All right, any last couple of things we want to add to this? Let me take a second and show you something else here while we're at it. Need to go back to manage roles. Okay, I already have access to my table view. So I'm going to go into manage roles. And, oh, I already have a little button down there. Good, I'm going to use it. I'm going to call this guy edit. All right, so we're going to have an edit button. And we're going to have an IB action associated with it. Edit button pressed. And then we'll see TV editing is equal to yes. Let's go hook that up and I'll show you what that does. I've got to scroll down. There it is. So there's my edit button. So when I click on edit, notice all these guys become highlighted. And this is built in. But you need to respond to this delete button being pressed. All right? Now, this is an event that occurs related to a table view. How do we respond to events associated with table views? Table views have two things. They have a table view data source and a table view delegate. Which one of those two responds to events? Delegate. So remember, we created our UI table view controllers. Well, we created our view controllers to be initially UI table view controllers because it gives us some of the data source and delegate methods we need. But there are certain data source and delegate methods that exist that it does not give us by default. So I'll go and show you those. So go up to Help, Documentation, UI Table View Delegate. Okay, and here's all the options that we have. Lots and lots and lots of things. So here, editing table rows. Will begin editing row and index path. Did end editing row and index path. Editing style. Title for delete confirmation button. Should indent while editing. Blah, blah, blah. What about tracking removal of views? We want to be able to respond to that delete button being clicked. I'm thinking it's probably did end editing row and index path. Right, let's try this one. I think that should be what we want. So I'm going to go into the code. And we'll add this extra method in here. We'll put it down by the other delegate methods. I actually think this might be the one, but let's see what this guy does. See, they gave us a bunch of methods and commented them out. That's why we set it up as a UI table view initially. Let's just print out deleted, whatever this guy gets called. Okay, yep. So that guy didn't get called yet. I'm guessing he got called, right? Oh, we have no way of leaving that, so it doesn't even matter. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to steal this line. and this is committing, deleting. So it says, what should you do if the style was delete, which is our default. So we'll actually this will work anyways. That'll make it disappear. We won't actually remove it from our, so the default there will work, but it won't actually remove it from our roles array. It'll just remove the guy visually. Row. I'm going to do it this way. I'll remove the thing from the rows, and then I'll say TV reload data. So what happens when you press delete? Get the guy out of the NS mutable array, then tell our table view to refresh itself. I think that should give us a result we're interested in. Okay. So, kind of stop there. Final exam is what day? At 10:10. Well, I'm checking. I'll tell you for sure. Monday at 1:10. Yep. Monday, 1:10 p.m. I'll design the exam to take about an hour. You'll have the full 2 hours to work on it if you would like. You may use your notes. If your notes are on a computer, that's fine. You cannot use Xcode to test stuff. Okay? So if you're, if you want to open up some code in Xcode, I'm fine with that. Just don't hit the play button. And don't write any code in there and let it help you. So just what I've said in the other classes is if you can look yourself in the mirror and say you didn't cheat, that's fine. Okay? Questions about that? The exam will be probably half programming and half theory, asking questions about how certain things work. The programming stuff would probably be more of, I might have you do some smaller logical type things, but most of it's going to be, if you have this, this, and this, how would you do this?
Are you going to this program?
Well, I might, but I mean, I would expect you to be able to create a navigation controller, create an instance of a view controller, and then push a new navigation controller onto it, or push a new view controller onto a navigation controller, that kind of stuff. Okay, so be able to understand how interfaces are put together using navigation controllers, understand frames. If I ask you to, given a view controller, I might give you the variable name of it. Write the necessary code to move this guy off the screen to the left. Something like that. Make sense? questions, comments, concerns, bribes. I will see everybody on Monday.